ahead and go into the next question. Elizabeth, this one is for you. What are some ways models can work to continue developing their craft while social distancing?
I kind of love this question because it's, it talks about craft, and that's what modeling is. It's a craft. And I think that it shows that you have talent, so for me, what can you do to continue developing? It means that you have to work out what your talent is. Okay, that's one thing. But also there are certain things that you need to do as a model. So, you're basically a selling tool. So, you have to make, inroads into your own health and fitness. Make sure that you really understand your own, your own eating patterns, for example. What makes your skin break out and what makes it better? Are you drinking enough water? If you have sort of inflammation problems, you can take anti-inflammatories like turmeric, for example. What kind of breakfast are you having? Those sorts of things are really important, your fitness. And then the other thing that I was thinking that's really important for craft, which you may not have thought about, was, it's the way your body moves. A lot of what you're doing is in front of the camera, and it's the way your body moves that the photographer then takes a picture of, that allows us as the consumer to see it and think, wow, that's amazing. And so I think for you to really get into your bodies and really understand your body, the way it moves, is very important. And I was thinking of a sort of a role play that you might be able to do with a friend, or, on Zoom or whatever it might be. So, you blindfold yourself and you try and listen to the direction of the person who's talking to you. So you can play it a little bit like a game, but it will make you get into your body. It will make you feel your body while you're blind, but it will also let you know how well you are, how good you are at being directed. Because one of the things about being a model is that you have to really hear what the photographer is saying or the director is saying to you, and you have to be able to emulate that. And that can be really difficult, and so that's an art in itself. That's craft, and that's something that you can really build up and role play while you're at home. So, that's one thing. And then the other thing, and I don't want to talk too long, but I know we've got a lot to get through, but the other thing is that I would say is to develop character, because, and by that I mean, everyone's telling you that you're a brand and you're a business and that you have to appeal to people. But there are lots of brands out there. So who are you appealing to? Are you Nike, which is basically fitness, Reebok, and the sort of like fitness campaigns and things like that? Or are you going to be doing campaigns which are sort of like nightclubby, or, even black tie or wedding dresses? What are you good at? Are you quiet and book type, or are you sort of like arty, or are you sort of like sporty? And I think that it's really important to put yourself in those characters, and let your social media reflect it, because the brand, when they choose you, they're going to be going there to have a look at what type of person you are, and you need to reflect on your social media what your brand is. So I think those are really my answers to those questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. As businesses reopen and photo shoots are planned, what are some important COVID-19 guidelines for models to keep in mind to ensure safety and health of themselves and everyone else on set? That's for Sundran and Renée.
Again, picking up on what Elizabeth was saying, it's really important that you remember that you are a business, not an individual as well. And as a business, if something goes wrong, if you have to go into quarantine and so on like that, you're going to sort of lose your income. So it's really, you've got to be super careful during COVID time. If your friends are going out and sort of not socially distancing or doing weird and wacky things, just don't do it, because you have more at stake here. And remember, employees, if they get sick, they've got all the benefits of the company. You don't have any of that. So first thing, I would definitely look at our guidelines, our COVID guidelines on our RTM website. From my knowledge, I think, Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the only set of guidelines put together for safely working under COVID, which is specifically for models. And there's a 20-point checklist which goes into everything to, you know, from face masks to use of makeup brushes to clothes and all that sort of stuff. So that's one thing to do. The other thing about the guidance too, because we recognize that having a checklist is just not going to do it, because you're going to have to negotiate with your clients and your agencies as well, and they may have different ideas on what safety is it also proposes a 3-step process on how you can use that checklist to negotiate in a very constructive way a safe set of arrangements that you're going to be comfortable with both your agency and with your clients as well. And that's important too, because, you know, it's a process where all three need to be involved, and it's a process which should be a constructive engagement as well. So definitely have a look at that that checklist, and you'll see a lot of good stuff there.
Thank you. And I'm sure this is on your website, on the Responsible Models Trust website. Okay. And that's just good to know, so that we can have something to reference as well.
Yeah. And I just like to add, actually, really quickly, I can just add on to what he mentioned from my own experiences of working during the pandemic. It's definitely important to look at those guidelines and to also communicate with your agency with what you're comfortable in doing, and try to see what the procedure is going to be on set. So for me personally, signed a waiver expressing that you have not been experiencing COVID-19 symptoms, you have not been exposed to someone who's been experiencing them, and you haven't traveled in 14 days, as well as a thermometer temperature check when you go into the studio, and that everyone is wearing a mask unless your talent is getting their hair and makeup, or not hair, getting their makeup done. And another thing is, a lot of makeup artists have been getting their barbicide certificate. Barbicide is a commercial grade disinfectant. So that's also something to look into, to see what the practices are for the hair and makeup artists, and to make sure that they are disinfecting all of their materials. And if there is another model on set, they have a whole separate kit for that model, and there is no cross-contamination. Because it's really important that you keep an eye on those things and you anticipate anything that could go wrong before you get there, because not everyone's going to have the same safety guidelines. You want to just make sure everything will go smoothly.